everyone, and welcome to another ballet class. Today is a beginning ballet class with music from Disney's Frozen, both 1 and 2. I'm really excited to share some ballet basics with you today. Let's get started. Alright, first let's talk a little bit about posture. If you were just to stand, it doesn't really matter where your feet are. I like to stand with my feet about hip width apart. And then I'm going to imagine that I'm pushing into the floor, or that I'm pushing the floor away from me. So I'm sending energy down through the legs to push the floor away, even though I'm not actually pushing the floor away. If I could, that's the effort that I would be putting down into the floor. And if you'll notice, that kind of helps tone the legs a little bit, gets them engaged and active, brings the belly button into the spine. So instead of having our bellies sticking out like this, we're pressing that belly button towards the spine. We're gonna keep our pelvis long and stacked here, a nice neutral pelvis. We want the shoulders to be back, as if we're pinching the shoulder blades together a little bit. Not that we're really like pinching them together, because then that's gonna make our ribs flare out this way, right? So we want to imagine just a little like magnetic force here to pull the shoulder blades together, keeping the shoulders nice and open, but the ribs closed in with that belly button to spine. So we're pushing into the floor with our feet, growing out of the top of the head with the crown of our head here, and then we're going to keep the shoulders back, but the ribs in, core is engaged. A lot to think about, but those are the basics of the posture that you want to be maintaining in ballet while still being able to find that breath. It's something that takes a long time, and I'm even still working on it. So if it's not coming super easily right now, it's okay. And pick a few things to focus on gradually as you build on. So starting with the feet, pushing into the ground, feeling the core engage, getting the ribs in, shoulders are out, up tall through the crown of the head. So in ballet, there are 5 basic positions of your feet. To start, let's put our feet together so that your ankles are touching. And you're going to, you can just have your hands on your hips at your sides, whatever is good. You're going to rock your weight back onto your heels a little bit, lift up the toes, and rotate out your legs, place them back down. This is first position. So your heels are together. If you have hyperextended legs and it looks a little bit like this, we want to try to not get that lock in our knees. We're going to bring our heels together and have that nice long straight line through our legs for our first position. And now from the side, you're going to see people are going to have varying amounts of turnout here. And if yours looks more like a pizza slice than it does like a 180-degree flat wall, that is totally fine. We want to honor where your muscles can turn out your legs. So that's your first position. Second position is similar, but we're going to have a space in between our legs. So the same amount of turnout on your feet here, the same angle of your feet, but it's a wider position. A good kind of place to start with how wide you want to go for that is going to be this bony part of your hip. You want to draw a line down, and your heel should be straight down from this point. I have mine a little bit wider because when I get into Grand Plie, I want to be able to have about a 90-degree angle in my leg here at this knee joint. And so if my second position is too narrow, then my knee it's going to be in a weird place. So I have mine a little bit wider than that hip point. Mine's more like the outside of my hip down to my heels. It just kind of depends on your body and what's going to feel comfortable for you once you start bending and moving. Next, there's third position. This is a position mostly used for beginning dancers. It's like you were in first position, but you would take either foot and bring it in front so that your heel is in front of the arch of your foot. Arch of your foot here. We're going to put our heel in front there, keeping that same angle of the feet for our turnout that we've been talking about so far. The same thing on the left side, just with the left foot in front. That's third position. I'm going to skip fourth, and we're going to talk about fifth really quick. Fifth is much like third, but instead of the heel being at the arch of the foot, your heel is going to be at the toes. So you can see it's a tighter position here. It's going to take more work in your glutes and your rotators to get into that position, we still want to keep that front leg straight. So if you're finding that this front leg can't be straight with how much your foot is turned out, adjust your feet, turn out a little less so that you can get those legs straight. It's okay if it's not flat because we don't want to be hurting our knees here. Wherever your turnout is, that's going to be your fifth position. Heel crossed all the way in front of that back toe. And it would be the same thing on the other side. So fourth position is much like fifth position, but instead of our legs being tight together, there's going to be a space in between them. So just like first position and second position are friends with a space in between, fifth position and fourth position are friends with a space in between. How wide do you go in your fourth position? Good question. If this is our fifth position and we took our foot and we put it perpendicular to our arch, that's about how much space we want in our fourth position. It's pretty small. We don't want to have it be really big and wide like this because then our knee is never going to be able to be over our toes. We're going to keep it small, keep our knees over our toes here. So if everyone will stand in first position, the first position of the arms that we're going to talk about is a nice low oval shape here. It has many names. I usually say en bas. Some people say preparatory position. Again, we're keeping the shoulders back and open. And there's a nice softness in the elbow, and that curve extends all the way down the arm. Here's your en bas position. Now take this shape, and I want you to raise your middle fingers so that they're across from, for me, it's about the bottom of my ribs. Where my ribs meet here, that's about where I place my middle finger across from. So it looks like this from the side, and from the front, we're here. This is first position. Now if you open your arms, this is second position. We still want to keep a softness in the elbow here. We're not locking out the arm. Nice softness in the elbow for second position of the arms. The next most commonly used arm position would be fifth. We've got en bas, and the reverse of that, if you flipped it up mirror image all the way above your head, this would be fifth position of the arms. So if you look at it from the side, we're trying to keep the elbow open here. We don't want to shade the face. If you have shoulders like mine that habitually like to come forward, this is going to be a little harder for you. So we want to, again, focus on keeping the shoulders open, allowing the elbow to stay open here. And in your peripheral vision up above, you should be able to see your fingers wiggling a little bit. We don't want them so far back that we can't see them anymore. So we're keeping our core engaged, ribs in, fifth position of the arms above the head. However, for today's class, since it is a beginning class and we're focusing on building strength, if you may not have taken ballet classes before, and that's why you're here, we're going to be building strength in our arms today by having our hands either placed on the shoulders or on the hips. So when our hands are on our shoulders, we're going to just, it doesn't really matter where your fingers are, mine kind of just spread over the top of my shoulder. Fingers are on my shoulders and my elbows are up. So you notice that my upper arm bone here is trying to be parallel with the floor. We don't want to let it sink because that's not going to be building the muscles up here in our shoulders and our backs to help us do all the other arm positions that we talked about. I like to tell my little kid students that there's like a toothpick in their armpit, and if they lower their arm, that toothpick is going to poke their armpit, so they need to keep their elbows nice and high to avoid not getting poked in the armpit. Or since today's class is Frozen themed, you can think that you've got one of Olaf's little fingers up here in your armpit, his little twig fingers, and he's going to poke you or tickle you if you lower your arm. The next position we're going to use a lot is to have our hands on our hips, and I have my palms flat with my fingers kind of in this flat pancake shape and my thumb hooked on my hip here. And the reason that I have my hands flat is because if I was to be wearing a tutu and I put my hands like this, I would smash the tutu down. So even if you're not wearing a tutu or you don't have a tutu and you never want to wear a tutu, we are going to train with our hands flat so that you're training correctly for what a ballet dancer would be doing for their performances. This isn't at the natural waist. We're not going to be all the way up here where our waist is its smallest. It really is down on the pelvic bone. nice and flat, shoulders still back. Tendency here is to hunch the shoulders forward, but we're going to be careful to bring the shoulders back. Sternum is lifted, hands flat on the hips, etc. So if you all want to take a seat, if you like, you can put your back up against a wall if that's going to help you to think about those open shoulders and to encourage your posture. Otherwise, you can sit forward off the wall a little bit, whatever is most comfortable for you while we learn about this. Pointing your toes, flexing your toes. These are basic movements that we're going to use all the time in ballet, pointing and flexing. So with pointing, we're trying to make a flat line along the arch of the foot meeting up into the leg. So you should be able to put like a pen or a pencil or a ruler along this part of your leg, and it should be able to touch most points of your arch all the way up to your low shin here. However, not everyone has that amount of ankle flexibility, and that's fine. I know this is a beginning ballet class. I'm not expecting you all to have crazy bendy banana feet. It's fine. So pointing your feet, we're working for that nice extension through the front of the ankle. Flexing, just the opposite. We're bringing the toes up. We're gonna engage the knees, so you may feel a little bit of lift up in the heel. Flexing the feet, pointing the feet, flexing the feet. Now, I've been working mostly in a neutral position of my feet. They're not really beveled or sickled right now, so we're going to talk about that next. This is a very extreme way to show beveling and sickling, but it's the best way that I've found to show you the major differences between these shapes. So if you had your feet pointed, with the middle of your feet all in contact with each other, and then you were to take your toes and separate them, keeping your heels together, separating the toes. So you may feel a little bit of muscle activation along the outside of the leg to separate those toes there, keeping the knees straight still, beveling the foot. And the opposite, if you kept the toes together and you spread the heels apart, sickling the foot. And this is the shape we do not use in ballet, ever. We're gonna keep our feet beveled, pointed and beveled most of the time. So what that would look like standing up, if this was neutral foot, this would be beveled, sickled, neutral, beveled, sickled. So we want to ideally achieve that beveled shape here with the inside of that ankle lifted up. Alright, so next we're going to start actually doing a little combination with some of the stuff we've learned and adding more on all the time. So we'll start in first position with the feet, arms on bob. We're going to do a little foot stretch. We're going to prepare the arms, 5, 6, 7, 8, stretch over, 1, 2, 3, lower 4, 1, 2, 3, lower 4, bend, point, bend, close, bend, point, bend, close. Repeat that on the left leg. Stretch, 1, 2, 3, lower down, push over the arch, lower. 1 count, bend, first, bend, point, bend, close. Then we're going to do that all over from the beginning, right leg, left leg, and then to finish, we're going to have our arms hold 1, 2, first position, 3, 4, lower 5, 6, hold it to finish. All right, let's do this with some music. Prepare the arms, stretch, 1, 2, 3, and lower, push, 1, 2, 3, and lower, 1 count, point, and lower, 5, 6, 7, 8, push over left, 2, 3, first position stretch, 2, 3, lower down, keeping your belly button pressing into your spine, nice long spine, standing tall. Let's go again. Push over, 2, 3, and close. Keep your elbows lifted, lower down, stretch, point, and close, stretch, point, bend, and close. Left, 1, 2, 3, lower, stretch, 2, 3, lower, almost there, point, bend, close, bend, point, bend, close. Then we're going to take the arms to first position and and lower down to finish. Next up, we're going to be doing a plie exercise. Plie means to bend, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be bending the legs. This exercise has a couple other steps in it. We have a tendu, that means to stretch. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Brushing the foot out to a pointed position. And there's also a releve, rising up onto the balls of our feet. From a side view in a plie, we're going to make sure that we are sliding straight down into this position. We don't want our bum to be sticking out like this. We don't want to have our pelvis flared out to the back. Some ways we're going to help with that is keeping our core engaged. And here's a little imagery for you. We are going to pretend that we are pieces of bread sliding down into a toaster. And you'd be nice and flat as you slide down into that toaster, otherwise you're going to burn your bum on the side of the toaster. So keeping everything in a nice long line, not sticking out the behind. Let's learn this combo together. Starting this exercise in first position with the arms low, we're going to prepare 5, 6 up to the shoulders, 7, 8. We're going to plie slowly, 1, 2, straighten, 3, hold, 4. Again, 6, 7, 8. Third time, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rise up, lower down. Brush the foot and point, lower. Second position, same thing. 1, 2, straighten and hold. 1, 2, straighten and hold. 1, 2, straighten and hold. Rise up, lower down. Point those toes, cross in front to fifth position. We'll repeat it in fifth. Plie 1, 2, straighten, hold. 1, 2, straighten, hold. 1, 2, straighten, hold. Rise up, lower, brush and point, close to fifth. Same thing with the left foot in front. Now we closed our right foot to the back. Our left foot is in front. We're going to do our plies 3 times. Rise up, lower down, tendu, back to first position. And then we're going to reverse our arms to take them back down to our finish. That's it. It's nice and slow, so don't worry if this was a little too fast of a demonstration. We'll be going nice and slow and you can follow along with the video. First position, prepare the arms up to the shoulders. Plie 1, 2, and straighten your legs and hold. Plie 1, 2, straighten your legs and hold. Third time, 1, 2, straighten your legs and hold. Rise up, lower down. Tendu, lower to second position. Plie, 2, and straighten and hold. Think of sliding into that toaster. 6, 7, 8. Third time, bend those knees and straighten your legs and hold. Rise up, lower down. Right foot point, close to fifth. Fifth position, plie 2. Straight legs 3 and hold. Plie 1, 2. Are your elbows still lifted? Keeping those elbows nice and high. Third time, 2. Core is engaged, belly button to the spine. Growing tall, push into the floor to rise. Lower down. Brush and point, close back. Left foot is in front for our plie 2. And straighten. Can you hear the cat meowing in the background? Really wants to be dancing with us. 6 and 7 and 8. Third one, last plie, keeping those knees turned out. Knees to the side, straighten and hold. Rise up, lower, tendu, and close. Take the arms to first and lower down. We love cats in ballet. Next, we're going to be doing a weight shift exercise with tendus a little bit more. Weight shift is really important in ballet so that you can balance on one leg without tipping over and falling off of it. And the way we're going to do that is by putting our pelvis over the leg that we're standing on. So one way to think about it is if you were in first position, your pelvis right now is centered over both of your legs at the same time. To center it over one leg, we have to move our pelvis to the side. keeping our spine still nice and long, not tipping over to the side. Nice long spine. Pelvis has shifted over. The edge of my pelvis here, if I drew a line, would be down, boop, over my toes, rather than being down over my arch. See the difference? So we're gonna shift our pelvis side to side to prepare our bodies for when we're going to do a tendu. And as we talked about in our plie exercise, tendu is when we're gonna brush the floor, point the toes. Tendu means to stretch, so we're stretching out through the leg and the toes, nice long beautiful line there. When you brush the floor, there should be a little bit of weight and push into that brush. We don't want to take our foot out here and then have to like spring back to it, but it's kind of like you're using your foot as a paintbrush on the floor. You're painting something on the ground with your foot. Want to be really thorough, don't want there to be any spots left unpainted, so we're going to put a little pressure in that brush till we point our foot and then brush back on in. All right, let's learn this exercise. First position, preparing the arms, 5, 6 to the hip, 7, 8. We're going to shift to the left, 1, shift back to center, 2, right, 3, 4, again, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're going to add our tendu. So as we shift to the left, we're going to brush the right foot out and point. And as we brush it back in, returning our hips to the center. Other side, right hip shifts. We'll shift to the right, point the left toes, and close. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah? And then we'll repeat all from the beginning. So shifting left, right, and then we're going to shift left, point the right foot, right, point the left foot, again. And then we're going to just turn the hands over to finish here. All right, this one's also fairly slow, so let's do this with music together. Prepare to the hip, shift 1, center, right, center, left, center, right, center, tendu, close, tendu, close, tendu, close, shift and tendu, close. Repeat from the top, middle, shift, middle, left, middle, right, middle, left and point, close, right and point, close, left and point, close, right and point, close, and turn the palms over to finish. We are going to keep on going with some more tendus. So tendu can be done in many different positions. We just did tendu a la seconde to the side here, but we are also going to be doing tendu devant and tendu derriere in this next exercise. Devant means to the front and derriere means to the back. So from first position, we're going to have the arms low en bas, prepare 5, 6 up to the shoulders, 7, 8. We're going to take our right foot and point it out to tendu quickly. 1, hold 2, close 3, and 4. Again, front 5, 6, close and hold. A la seconde to the side, close and hold and out. And close and hold. Now to the back. Hold, close, and hold. Keep that sternum lifting as we go to the back. 2 more side. 2. Is your weight still shifted? Out and in. Now we're going to shift our weight over to the right, and we're going to repeat it all on the left side. 2 to the front, 2 tendus to the side, 2 to the back, 2 to the side. Yeah? Lots of opportunities and repetition to point those toes, brush the floor, and do it all with properly shifted weight. Let's do this. 6, 7, 8, and 1. Hold. Back to first. Are you finding that turn out? Point. And now turn out first position to the side. Hold and close and hold. How fast can you get there? Hold and close and back to the back. Hold, close. Elbows still lifted and back. 2, shift, out, close, and hold. And out, and hold, and close, and hold. Shift, left side, 2, 3, 4, and out, and close, and out, and close, and out, and close, to the back, and close. Tummies are still in, out, and close. To the side, and out, hold, close, hold, and out, and hold, close. And bring the arms to first, lower down. Next up, we're going to be doing tendus in and out of plie. So we're mixing a couple of our steps here. We just did tendu with only straight legs. We kept those knees tight the whole time. Now we're going to do that exact same combination, but we're going to be working in and out of plie. Tendu, plie, tendu, plie. So same pattern as before. 2 to the front, 2 to the side, 2 to the back, 2 to the side. Repeating that with the left leg. But instead of closing to first with straight legs, we're going to close to first with plie. All right, let's do it. 1, 2, plie, out, plie, brush, plie, brush, plie, out, plie, back, plie, side, close, and side. That's straight, shift, 1, and close, 1, and close, to the side. Way to still shift it over that standing leg. Even in your plie, it's going to stay shifted so you're ready for that tendu. Keeping the elbows up, sternum lifted, and out, plie. Let's close this one to straight legs, and finish. The next step we're going to learn today is dégagé. Dégagé is a lot like tendu, but instead of keeping our toes on the floor, we're going to lift them up off the floor, just a little bit, just like a couple of inches. Dégagé means to disengage. So we're going to be disengaging our toes from the floor just a little bit. And a little bit more Disney for your class today. I like this one because I think of a quote from The Incredibles when Mrs. Incredible is flying the plane to the island where Mr. Incredible is, and she's telling the missiles coming towards the plane to disengage, disengage. So we're going to be disengaging our toes from the floor, dégagé. All right, let's learn this little exercise. Dégagés today are just going to be a la cone to the side. So we're going to prepare the arms 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Close. Notice how fast that weight shift had to happen, right? And 1, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7, 8. 4 more. 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. Shift. And left side. 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7, 8. Disengage off the floor. Ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-da. Da, da. Nice little finish there. So we've done our 8th one. We're going to shift back to the center, bring our arms to first, and lower the arms to finish. All right, let's try it with music. Here we go. And 1, hold 2, and 3, hold 4, and 5, hold 6, and 7, hold 8. Again, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. Dégagé. Shift. Here we go. 1, hold 2, and 1, hold 2, and 1, hold 2, and 1. 4 more on the left. 1, hold 2, and 1, hold 2, and 1, hold 2, and 1, and finish. If you felt extra wiggly in your dégagés, it may have been because when you're doing your dégagé, you're closing to both legs, and then you have to do all this extra work to get your hips back over your standing weight. There's not enough time for that in most exercises, so if we know we have 8 dégagés with our right leg, we're going to shift the weight over onto our left leg, and we're going to keep it there. My pelvis is nice and still. We're going to keep it there so that we can keep doing all those dégagés. And then when it's time to shift for side, then we'll keep it all shifted over on that side of the leg. Next up, we're going to learn rond de jambe. Rond de jambe means round of the leg. And we're going to be drawing circles or rounds with our leg. Perfect. How easy is French? Ha. Not easy. I live here and I'm struggling. We're going to start in first position, making a round of our leg. So it's going to start with a tendu, and we're going to bring that circle over to our tendu to the side, and then we're going to close into first. Tendu side to the back, close into first. Let me show you that with the arms. So we'll prepare 5, 6, 7, 8. Tendu 1, rond de jambe 2, close to first for 2 counts. Tendu side, rond de jambe to the back, close 7, 8. Repeat that on the left side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we're going to repeat it all from the beginning. Front, side, close, side, back, close, other leg, side, back, close. And then we're going to do it on the reverse. So instead of going front and side to start, we're going to do it kind of backwards. We're going to go back, side, close and close, side, front, close and close. We'll repeat that with the left leg. And then we're going to repeat it again. Right, left. Don't worry, it's going to be slow enough that you can follow along, and I'll talk you through it as we go. Let's do this with music. 6, up, 7, 8. Tendu the right foot front. Circle it side. 2 counts to close to first. Tendu side. Circle it back, rond de jambe. Close into first. Left leg 1, 2. Close into first. Side 1. Circle it back. Close into first. Let's do that again. Front, side. Close into first. Tendu side. Circle it back. Close into first. Left leg 1. Circle. I love this cat meowing along with the music. It's perfect. And side. I don't know if you can hear it, but she's kind of loud. 7 and 8. Let's do the reverse. Back. Circle it side. Close into first. Showing off your heel. Can you see your heel in these tendus? Close and close. Your audience in the front of the room, if there was one, should be able to see your heels. And tendu, rond de jambe, and close into first. Repeating the reverse. We're almost there, folks. Slowly close it in. You can sing along with this music. It's sort of the point. I will try to remain professional so that you can work on this exercise. And close into first. Tendu. This is your last one. And close to first. Take the arms to first position. And lower. Okay, next up we're going to work on balancing on one leg. So we have talked about weight shift. That's going to help us here. We're going to shift our weight to be able to balance on that one leg. And the position we'll be balancing in on flat, mind you, not on releve. On flat, we're going to be balancing in coup de pied devant. Coup de pied devant is a pretty long phrase for ballet. Coup de pied means on the neck of the foot. So if your foot had a neck, it would be your ankle, right? So your ankle is where this position is going to be living. And on your ankle, we're going to be putting our foot on the neck of the foot. So there's a lot of different coup de pied positions. Sur le coup de pied is wrapped around the leg. Coup de pied devant is in front of that ankle. And coup de pied derrière is on the back of the ankle. So today we're going to be working with coup de pied devant, on the neck of the foot to the front, in the front. And we want to keep that beveled shape in mind, right? So we don't want our heel to be in contact with our leg. We want to bring the heel forward, almost as if there is a little string here on my heel and someone is pulling it towards them to get that heel forward. All right, let's learn this exercise a little bit with our coup de pied devant, balancing on one leg. We'll start in 5th position with the arms low. Prepare 5, 6, up to the shoulders, 7, 8. We're going to bring back that foot stretch we did at the beginning of class. Stretch over the foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, just to kind of start getting on that one leg. We have our weight shift already happening. We're going to lift up the toes, bring that pinky toe to the ankle, balancing coup de pied, 6, 7, 8. Lower back down, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, 5, 6, 7, 8. Your core is on fire right now. 2, 3, 4, balance, 6, 7, 8. Now to transfer to the other side, we're going to bend our toes, 1, 2, lower to 5th, 3, 4, tendu side, 5, 6, close to the back. Now our left foot's in front, and we can do it all on the left side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Down for 4 counts, up for 4 counts. That was the third one, so now we're going to go bend 1, 2, lower 3, 4, tendu the front foot out, close in back, and then we'll finish the arms. That's it. Let's give it a go. Bend 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4. Bend the toes on the floor. 3, 4. Point the toes off the floor. 7, 8. One more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 6, 7, 8. Let's flatten the foot down and point and close. Left side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure your belly button's still pressing to your spine. And elbows are lifted. 3, 4, and up. 6, 7, 8. Third time. 2, 3, 4, and point. 6, 7, 8. Point. Sorry, bend. Lower. Time to the front foot. Close back. And we're going to lower the arms down to finish. This next exercise is meant to keep working on your tendus, but also to build some of the muscles in your upper thigh. So we're getting into some lunges here to build those muscles so that later when we're doing our jumps, you feel prepared for those. We'll start in 1st position, 5, 6 on the hips, 7, 8. We're going to tendu 1. Lunge it forward, 2. Front leg is bent, back leg is straight. We're going to push off that bent leg back to our point, close to first. Side 1, and bend. Close to first, and side, and bend, and push, and close to the back. Still bending that leg that was in tendu, so this standing leg stays straight, point, and close to the side, bend, point, and close. Then we'll repeat that on the left side. Bend, and push, and close. To the side, bend, push, close to the back, bend that back leg, keep that front leg straight, point, close, side, bend, point, close. Then we'll just turn over the palms to finish. A couple of things with this exercise that I want you to think about before we get started. That standing leg has to stay straight. So when we're working on our right leg tendus, our left leg is so straight. I want you to think that Elsa has used her icy powers on your standing leg, on your knee, so that it's straight. It is frozen right here. So you can't bend it until the left side, and then you're gonna have the same thing happen to your right leg. Elsa icy powers, right leg not gonna bend. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is your hip placement. The reason we have our hands on our hips for this exercise is because I really want you to make sure your hips stay level and square. So we don't want any of this funny stuff happening or an unnecessary twist in the hips. So tendu and lunge forward. Notice my hand placement didn't move here on the hips. I'm not turned, I'm not sinking. Nice square hips the whole time. And when we go to the side, notice that my spine is still staying nice and lifted and straight. It's perpendicular to the floor. None of this happening. This is taking my hips off of their centered position. Hips centered, spine nice and long, perpendicular to the floor in all of those positions. All right, let's do this with music. First position, arms low, prepare them to the hip. Tendu the right foot, 1. Lunge forward, point, and close. To the side, take a nice wide lunge. Push, and close. To the back, and lunge. Point, close. To the side, nice and wide. Point, close to first. Left side, front. Lunge, point, and close. Side, and lunge to the side. Point, and close. Elsa Icy Powers on that standing leg. Keep it straight. Point, close. Last one. Lunge, point, close, and finish. This exercise is going to start in 5th position, and we're going to be doing Grandmom. This is like a dégagé, but higher. Usually in a beginning ballet class, I only ask that you get to about 45 degrees for your Grandmom. If you can go higher than that, great, as long as your hips stay level and your legs can stay straight. So if you can only get it higher if you're bending that leg, no deal. And if you can only get it higher if you're twisting that hip and lifting up your bum, no deal. So we're gonna just focus on a lower leg today, 45-ish degrees for that Grandmom. Grandmom means large beating. Take with that what you will. Make sure that you're far enough away from your wall or wherever you're practicing that when you do your Grandmom to the back, you're not gonna kick your wall there. So give yourself a safe amount of space. 5th position, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to Tendu front 1. Lift to 45 degrees 2. Tendu, close. Again, point. Lift, point, close. Point, lift, point, close. 4th time. Lift, point, close. To the back. Whatever footwear's in 5th in the back, we're going to Tendu that out. Point. You're going to lift, point, close. It's definitely harder to the back. We want to keep thinking of that sternum lifting up so we're not letting our back take us, right? So 4 to the back. And then we're just going to bring the arms to first position and lower to finish. I'll restart the music. You'll put your left foot in front, and then we're going to do 4 Grandmom to the front with the left leg and 4 to the back with the right leg. All right, here we go. 7, 8, point, lift, point, close, point, lift, point, close, point, lift, point, close. 4th one, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back leg 1, 2, 3, 4. Point, lift, point, close, point, lift, point, close. Last one. Point, close, and finish. Put the left leg in front. Let's do the left side. 7, 8. Point your toes. Lift the leg. Point, close, hip. Keep your leg straight the whole time. When you close the hip, keep that knee nice and tight. 4th one. Keep your elbows lifted, core in, belly button to the spine. Tendu, close. Keeping those hips square. Try not to flare that hip open to the side. Lift, point, close. Last one. Point, close. Arms to first and lower down. Since I'm a mean ballet teacher, I'm going to have us do some conditioning exercises. Today we're going to focus on some arm strength because I know that's often one of the weakest spots for dancers. So we're going to build our arm strength today as well as some lower back strength. It's going to be great. Here we go. The first conditioning exercise we're going to do is a simple push-up. You can do this as a strict push-up or a modified push-up on your knees. So you can be here in a full plank. This is the hardest one. You can bring your knees down and do your push-ups here. You can also do this against a tabletop or a chair as long as it's sturdy, or even a wall. You can be put your hands on the wall, stand at an angle, and bend down towards the wall. Whichever is going to be best for you, but we are going to do slower push-ups, so they're going to have 4 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4 to go down, and 4 counts to go back up. And we're going to do that 8 times. So pick your poison, let's do some push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 6, 7, 8, down. 2, 3, 4, up. Down for 4 counts. Up. Down. And up. You're halfway there. Down. And up. Keep your core engaged. And up. Last one. Ta-da! Next up, we're going to be doing a little back ups exercise. So instead of laying on your back and doing a sit-up, we're going to be laying on our tummies and doing a back up. If you've ever done yoga, this is kind of like a cobra pose. So we're going to be baby cobra pose. We'll be laying on the floor. Sorry that you can't see my whole body, but my legs are straight out behind me. Laying on my tummy. My hands are placed underneath my shoulders. And I'm going to keep my elbows close to my body, close to my torso. And I'm going to lift up 1, 2, 3, 4. Lower back down 5, 6, 7, 8. We're not pushing into the hands here. I could lift up my hands at the top and stay in that same position, just there for a little extra support. And lower back down. Each rep is 4 counts up, 4 counts down, and we're going to do that 8 times. Let's do this with music. 1, 2, 3, 4, lower. And up. 2, 3, 4, lower back down. If you need to test it at the top to make sure you're not using your hands, feel free. Halfway there. Keeping your elbows close to the middle of your body. Squeezing your glutes. Belly button pressing into the spine to protect your lower back. If that was a lot for you, you can bend back into child's pose. Next up, we're going to work on some positions for our pirouettes. Pirouettes are our turns in ballet class. Pirouettes can be done in all sorts of positions. They can be done in coup de pied that we talked about earlier. They can be done in retiré, which we're about to learn. And then as you get more advanced, you'll do grand pirouettes, which can be in attitude positions, also cone positions up high, can be attitude derriere, can be in arabesque, all sorts of options. You can turn in pretty much any position. But today we're going to be focusing on the retiré position and training that a little bit. So we're going to start in first position. Prepare the arms 5, 6, bring them up to the shoulders 7, 8. We're going to Tendu 1, shifting that weight over 1. Then we're going to lift the toes up off the floor, lifting the knee a little higher until our pinky toe comes to rest in this little curved out space in our knee. So on the side of your knee there should be a little divot. That's going to be where our toes live. That's kind of the lowest you would ever go in a retiré. If you can bring it higher than that by engaging your hamstring and lifting up so it's up a little bit more above the knee, then that's fine too. Work your hamstring. But at the least, bare minimum, we want that pinky toe in our little knee divot there. Knee is going to be to the side. It's one of those toaster moments again, right? Everything is flattened out here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 5, 6, 7, 8. Third time. 2, 3, 4. You get a nice juicy plie, bringing that pelvis back to the center. 5, 6, straighten, hold. Then we're ready for the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want to get to that retiré position nice and quick. Plie and stretch. Then we're just going to finish with the arms. Okay, let's do this with music. First position, prepare the arms to the shoulders. Tendu. lift the toes. Tendu and close. Tendu, knee to the side. Tendu and close. Third time. Lift, point, close to first. Plie, nice and juicy. Straighten the legs, left side. Tendu, lift up, point, close. Is your weight still shifted? That's gonna help you stay balanced in your retire. Point and close. Third time. Tendu, close. Shift the weight back to the center and plie, straighten, and finish. Next up, we're going to do a few jumping exercises. If you want to protect your feet a little bit more and your legs because you've got a really hard floor, you have a couple options. You can put on some sneakers and jump in your sneakers. They're built for a little bit more shock absorption. You can also get a yoga mat or an exercise mat and lay it on the floor so that you have a little bit more cushion as you jump. Otherwise, just be really mindful of how you roll through the feet. Just like we did in our foot stretch at the beginning of class where we pointed and then went back to our bent over position. It's just like that. As you land the jump, point, ball, heel. Up, toe, ball, heel. So be really mindful of how you work through the feet and land in your nice juicy plie so that you're protecting your legs. We are going to start in first position and we're going to prepare the arms to the hips and we'll go plie, releve, plie, releve, plie, jump. You're going to push off the floor with both legs evenly, get those toes pointed in the air, point, plie, tendu, second position, plie, and stretch, plie, releve, plie, saute. Saute is the first word for our little jump here, plie, stretch, plie, stretch, plie, saute, tendu. Notice I tendued out of that plie, just like we did in our tendu with plies earlier. Closing back, plie, releve, plie, releve, plie, saute, tendu. Close to first position. To finish, we're just going to turn over the palms and finish there. First position, prepare to the hips. Plie, up, plie, releve, plie, saute, plie, tendu. Second, plie, up, plie, up, plie, saute, plie, tendu, close, plie, up, plie, releve, plie, saute, tendu, close, plie, releve, plie, releve, plie, saute, tendu, to first. Turn over and finish. Next up, we're going to learn a step called échappé. Échappé is another jump, and it means to escape. The way that I remember this one is because échappé sounds a lot like escape, and that is what Dory says in Finding Nemo when she's reading the word escape on the submarine. So we're going to échappé, we're going to escape. And échappé can be from fifth position or from first position out to a wider position such as second or fourth. Today we're going to be going from first position, échappé out to second position. So we're going to start in first position, prepare the arms 5, 6 to the hip, 7, plie on 8. Before the 1 even happens, we're going to start moving. Plie 8. We're going to push off both feet evenly and escape our legs out to second position, and 1, hold 2. Make sure your legs get totally straight, feet pointed in the air on that jump, and 3, hold 4. So we're going to do that 4 times, and 1, hold 2, and 3, hold 4, and 5, hold 6, whoa, losing my balance, and 7, hold 8, and 1, hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, straighten 8. Then you get 16 counts to kind of rest, shake it out, take some big deep breaths, and then we're going to repeat it all from the beginning. 4 échappés, rest for 16 counts, 4 more échappés. Here we go, let's do this with music. Plie, and 1, 2, first, and out. Straight legs in, straight legs plie, straight legs in. Last one. 16 counts. straight bend, straight bend, straight bend, and out, and in, and finish. The next one isn't a jumping exercise per se, but it's going to prep you for a future jumping exercise that you could do. There is a jump called soubresaut, which means a sudden leap or bound, and it's from 5th position, and you jump and squeeze the legs together, land back in 5th, and stretch. A little different from a saute because there's not a squeeze of the legs there. We're going to squeeze the legs as we come up into the air. Soubresauts can also travel forward or backward. I don't see this very often, but I suppose they could travel side to side, kind of like a bunny hop. But to prepare that squeezing of the legs for the jump, here's the exercise we're going to do. We're going to start in 5th position. Prepare the arms 5, 6 on the hip, 7, 8, 8 straight legs. Then we're going to plie 1, 2. You're going to come up onto releve in 5th position, but squeeze the legs together as you do. 3, 4. Then you're going to release them back to 5th position, plie, 5, 6, straighten, hold. 1, 2, squeeze, plie, and stretch. 3rd time. 1, 2, squeeze the legs, plie, and stretch. Then you're going to tendu, plie in 2nd position, tendu the other foot, close front. Then we'll repeat the whole thing on the left side. 2 counts to plie, 2 counts to squeeze up, 2 counts to plie, straighten the legs. Repeat that for a total of 3 times. And then we're going to tendu, plie, tendu, close. Hands will be on the hips the whole time. Here we go. Plie, and up, out, and stretch. Plie, squeeze in, plie, and stretch. Plie, squeeze in, plie, and stretch. Tendu, plie in 2nd, tendu, and close. Plie, squeeze in, plie, and stretch. Plie, squeeze in, plie, and stretch. Last time, plie, squeeze, plie, stretch, tendu, plie, tendu, and close. Finish. The last exercise we're going to do is a reverence. Reverence is a time where we close out class with a big thank you for our teacher, our fellow students, and especially our live pianist if we have one. Now we don't have a live pianist today, but all the music today was by the amazing Nate Fifield. His album for Frozen 1 and 2 is on Spotify, and he has so many other excellent ballet albums. So thank you, Nate Fifield, for creating such beautiful music for ballet class. Let's learn this reverence and spread some thanks. We're going to start in 1st position, holding our preparation 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to go first. Look to the right. Open and lower. 1st position. Look to the left. Lengthen the arms and lower. Let's add a little curtsy. We're going to bring the left foot up and curtsy on the right side. And 1st, 2nd, curtsy, and close. One more quick little note before we begin this exercise. I demonstrated curtsies for our reverence. That is usually what females do in ballet class. If you are a male, you can instead take a bow. 1st, 2nd, take a bow. Yeah? All right, let's do this with music. Holding nice and still. Then 1st. And lower. 1st, 2nd position, lengthen, lower. 1st, and curtsy, back to 1st. Curtsy. Let's do that one more time, from the beginning. 1st, 2nd, lengthen, lower. 1st, 2nd, lengthen, lower. Now with your curtsies, that's the end of our class. Thank you so much for joining me for beginning ballet featuring music from Frozen 1 and 2, and I'll see you next time.